Exacto, pero...
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Dead Dad, a horror podcast.
Brought to you by Big Baby Studios.
Hi, everyone. We are back for another episode of Dead Air. And today we have a very special guest. But before that, let us introduce ourselves. So my name is Aaron. I am a comedian that loves horror. My knowledge of horror movies is just on how it makes me feel and how scared I am. But everybody here has varying degrees of scaredness. So I'll have my other co-hosts introduce themselves.
Yeah, so my name is Chris Costello. I've dubbed myself a horror fanatic because my wife constantly says that that's the only genre I watch. So I'm a big fan. I've always been a big fan. And Miguel, how about you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Miguel. I take pictures for a living. I do love watching movies, and I'm the token scaredy cat. I'm the guy who gets scared just reading Wikipedia entries of horror movies.
So as you can hear, we have three very different people hosting this show. And every week we have a new guest. And this week we have a international director. I know you're international. I know it. So he also directed a scary movie that I particularly enjoyed. And it came out early this year. It's called Sunod. Everyone, this is Carlo Ledesma. Hello, Carlo.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Thank you. We're so happy to have you here. Before we ask you about your movie choice, can you tell us how you got into the horror genre?
Okay, wow. For me to do that would automatically mean me carbon dating myself, but whatever. It's okay.
Go ahead, please.
Okay,
That's fine.
Okay. Once upon a time, next. Hi, guys. I loved all your backgrounds, and I think I can relate a little bit to each one of you in the sense that, you know, I'm also kind of a comedian guy, but loves horror. Like Chris, I'm also a horror fan, and my wife hates me for it because it's all I watch. And I think I also get scared. I also creep myself out more actually reading synopsises and scripts more so than watching actual films. So I'm weird that way, but so horror background, I am from what your mom and dad will call the Betamax era. So I grew up at a time when Betamax was still the way, you know, kids watched movies. So I first and foremost, as a kid of the 80s, I was first and I still am a Star Wars fan. But it was because of that and because of my folks being, you know, just avid collectors of Betamax, I was able to watch as a kid all these different types of movies. And the horror film that got me into horror is actually the horror film that I'm going to be talking about now. So I hope I don't preempt it. But I figured it's quite important to share because it was such a monumental part of my life. And it's the reason why I love horror. And it's actually pretty much the main reason why I love movies, period. So backstory, when I was 6 years old, my dad, who was cool, decided, all right, Carlo, come here, sit down. I'm going to make you watch a film. And it's a horror film. And because you're 6 years old, you're not supposed to watch it. But I would like you to see this film because there's an important message here. My dad at the time was an avid scuba diver. And he is, up to this day, a very staunch environmentalist. And he sat me down. He goes, there's this film that I want you to see. And it's about a shark. And in this movie, the shark is the bad guy, but I want you to know that that's wrong. In the real world, sharks are not like this. So it's important that you see this movie because I want you to know that, sharks are being given a bad rap because of this film. So, okay, cool. All right, cool. All right, so what's this? So he puts the Betamax in and he shows me. And the first thing I see is this campfire scene and here are these two attractive teenagers and this girl runs into the water. I was like, okay, there's a bit of like side there. Am I supposed to be watching this? And then he goes, just keep watching. So the girl runs into the water. I'm like, okay, what am I seeing here? Like, what is this? And then it happens. You hear that dun 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 dun, and you see the POV, the underwater POV of the thing underwater looking up at the girl, and in like 5 minutes, you just see that I just witnessed that incredible opening sequence, and this girl gets eaten by something which we never see, or something that you don't see, and it terrified me and it fascinated me. And from that opening scene, I was hooked. And yes, I love my takeaway from that movie was, yes, I did appreciate sharks a lot more. But the one thing I also took away was that, wow, you mean you you can do blood, you can show blood in movies, like people die in movies, like pwede pala yan. So it kind of fueled me. I hope not in a disturbing way, but it kind of just opened my mind to all these other things. And fortunately, I grew up with cousins who are my age, and they kind of had the same feeling, when they watched Jaws, and suddenly this whole genre opened up to us through Betamax films, and it became like our version of campfire stories. Whenever we would sleep over in each other people's houses, someone would bring a cassette, a Betamax tape of Nightmare on Elm Street, and then someone would bring in a Betamax tape of Friday the 13th, and then there was all these fun 80s horror films, that we would watch, under our blankets and try to scare ourselves, and it was such a monument. I still remember it. I still remember the nostalgia and the memory of watching those horror films with my cousins, and how it was such a bonding experience. And funny enough, I don't remember being that scared of them, but it was just more of the fact that it was kind of like breaking the law in a way, that, hey, we're watching something that we're not supposed to watch. This is awesome. So that was it for me, and it opened up, because of Jaws, it opened up my eyes to a filmmaker called Steven Spielberg, and he immediately, as is the case with many film fans, he's almost like the gate. You could say he's like the gateway director that people kind of get enamored with, and then they start watching all these other films. So that I would say Jaws and Star Wars and maybe a couple of other films were the ones that really opened up my love for movies.
So I have a question.
That's awesome.
What is your definition of horror as a genre? Because we've spoken to many people, and everybody sort of has a different definition. So we're interested to know what yours
nice.
is.
That's a good question. No one's ever asked that. Well, when people think of horror, people like, I actually asked this when I was doing research for my film for Sunod. I would go ask people around, and these would just be like random people, not necessarily horror fans. I go, anong definition of horror para sa'yo? Like, what does it mean? Like, anong nakakatakot para sa'yo? What is horror? For them, I got a lot of answers saying, for me, horror, dapat nakakagulat, or dapat nakakatakot. Parang I got the word gulat a lot. I got the word, like,
Yeah.
For them to feel horror, for them to call it a horror, they needed to jump out of their seats or in the cinema. My definition of horror is the opposite. Like, I like horror that kind of just creeps up on you, wherein you don't really know what you're quite watching. I don't like cheap scares. Like, for me, horror is something that makes you think about it long after the credits have rolled, and when you're all alone, and when you turn the lights off, and that's when something really sticks. Because I liken a jump scare to like a dopamine rush of like eating a piece of candy. Yeah, you feel good or you feel scared, but after a while it kind of wears off. Whereas I think real horror, good horror, kind of leaves that imprint in your head and makes you think. And like what Miggy was saying, like, makes you scared to turn off the lights. For me, real horror is something that really sparks imagination rather than spoon feeds it.
I love that definition. That's really basically how I view horror as well. Like you, I'm not a fan of jump scares, but my favorite horror films are really the ones that don't scare me when I'm in bed alone at night. They're the ones where I just, in broad daylight, I just think about how it affected me, and how not really just how it scared me, but just made me think, and how those are the effective ones for me. Like, absolutely, like, that's horrifying to me. It's not the sudden increase in in the music for a jump scare, or like something jumping out of the dark. It's effective too, but like it's not what I love about the genre. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
So question for you guys, if a horror movie is a jump scare kind of movie, or those things that you didn't classify as horror, you wouldn't put it in that genre?
No, I would yeah. Absolutely. Like, jump scares to me, when they're done well, they're, they work. They absolutely work. They scare you. I mean, oh my God, like the first time I saw Paranormal Activity, it was full of jump scares. And then it was effective. It was really effective. But I think that a lot of filmmakers in the genre rely on it way too much. And that for me as a viewer, as someone who's seen a lot of horror films, it's kind of lost its appeal already since I just see it all the time now. It's just not anything special. When I see like a dark doorway, I brace myself. I'm like, oh, here comes the jump scare. You know what I mean? And then so it takes away from my overall experience from the film. Back to the movie that you chose. Okay, so Jaws is in a nutshell. It was directed by Steven Spielberg, released in 1975. It's based on a book by Peter Benchley, and it's about a great white shark that terrorizes this small, sleepy beach town called Amity. And as a result, three adventurers, a police chief, an oceanographer, and a fisherman go out to hunt down the shark. That's basically the summary of Jaws, unless I screwed up. But let's talk about it.
Well, yeah. So the reason why I chose that film, horror origin stories aside, I thought it would be such an ideal film to talk about, especially with the Dead Air group, and I'm sure most, if not all of them, have seen this film, and I think it's only right that we, it's actually its 45th anniversary this year, guys. So
is it? That's perfect.
I remember doing a Facebook post about it actually a few months ago, and 45 years. So how incredible is that?
Wow.
And throughout the years, I like I said, I still remember watching it at 6 years old, and then continuously watching it as I grew older. And because I love the film so much, when you love something so much, you just want to geek out and learn so much about it. So this was the first, it's considered the first Hollywood blockbuster, and it's considered to have been like the film that opened the floodgates for the type of marketing and the type of film going that we know of today. Well, at least before the lockdown. And I love the fact that the first blockbuster film is a horror, it is a horror film. It took a horror film to do it. It took scaring a bunch of people to kind of make $100 million at the box office. So I think that's awesome. So yeah, so I think there's so much to talk about this movie. From a pure horror fan standpoint, from a filmmaker standpoint, and again, like as I mentioned earlier, I watched it again recently, and I was able to watch it as a parent. So the roles were kind of, it's like I came full circle. I wasn't the kid anymore. I was now, I was now watching it as a dad, and there's so many things. I suddenly could relate a lot to Chief Brody, and it's like, oh my God, like I'm now the Chief Brody character. That's so trippy, and I'm so old. So yeah,
Okay, so based on that, really, really quickly, how old is you have a son? You have two children?
Yeah. I have a
How old is your son?
He's 7. So
7?
I think the time is.
He's 7.
Yeah.
And then
yes.
So you saw it when you were 6.
Yeah.
So
I saw a lot of things when I was 6. I saw Blue Lagoon when I was. I don't know. My parents were just open-minded.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool. Cinematic briefing from your parents.
No, so my son, yes, he is 7, and he does ask about Jaws. So I think I will show it to him. He loves monsters. He's at that stage where he's a little Calvin. His imagination is kind of really fertile. So I think I'm ready to show it to him.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and that's what I love too.
So cool.
I'm loving that. That's the stage of like my life, being able to like show old movies again. Like I showed them Star Wars already. I showed them the Goonies. So like all these, and it was so encouraging that movies from my childhood was still something that they could still appreciate. They still loved it. They loved the Goonies. They loved Empire Strikes Back. They loved all the stuff that I love. So which goes to show classic movies never go out of style. They will hold up.
Shit, now I want kids. Yeah.
This is.
Who do I talk to about
Where
film?
can I get one of those?
Where do you buy a child? Just kidding.
Have kids, guys. My lockdown.
No, but I really love that you chose this movie
for
because
me, Carlo.
Yeah, I want to know your thoughts. Like what do you guys still remember watching this film?
Go.
What are your own like Jaws popping the cherry moments?
Aaron, go kill it.
I haven't seen this since I was a kid, and I'm in my 30s now. So it was interesting for me to see that. And I was telling the guys, the first thought that came to my head was, kawawa naman si Shark. Like, the way they killed him was just so extra. Like, dude, really? You gotta kill a shark like that? Relax.
You think it's because we grew up in a more environmentally conscious parang world na that sort of violence against animals. Like, parang, hey, wait a minute. I don't think the shark deserved that.
Exactly, absolutely. And I was thinking that they had to make the shark that psycho to actually chase these humans and look for them to justify the way that they killed him. Because otherwise, if he was just a regular shark that just so happened to be eating people, parang nakakaawa pa rin. But he was psycho. The way he was going after that boat was crazy. Galet, you know?
Parang monster talaga. Parang monster talaga yung portrayal of the shark.
Yeah, no, really, like,
unrelenting.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Miguel. This is really the template for a lot of monster movies going forward. Everyone's ripped off Jaws at one point. I mean, like, even when they pitched Alien, it was basically Jaws in space.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, I've never seen Alien, I think.
Really?
It's like one of those blind spots in my pop cultural consumption.
That's also something I haven't seen since I was a kid, so it's probably going to have the same effect.
Again, another incredible movie from that era. It's so funny you mentioned that, Chris. Like that's right. Like Ridley Scott did say that how he got the pitch was he pitched it as Jaws in space, but then when Alien came out, it became its own iconic film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Started pitching their own
absolutely.
It's Alien on a ship, or it's Alien on a plane. So
exactly.
I love how all these horror films kind of just, or all these horror filmmakers kind of just inspired each other and kind of leveled up. And to this day, we're still seeing, like, you know, you still hear that as pitches. Oh, it's Jaws in a box. Yeah. It's Alien in a bathroom. So you still get that. Which I think is great. Yeah. Alien is another good one. Wow. That's another one.
I think for me, my Jaws experience, naman, I saw it as a child, freaked me out. Like, as a child, you saw it as a monster movie, like an unrelenting shark that just killed off humans. But I think I saw it again as an adult in the past 10 years. And parang, you know, after going to school, after watching a ton of films, parang you kind of appreciate everything else about the movie. Like, parang what's famous, like Jaws is famous for, like, the, you know, the noise of the shark and the music and the score. But it actually, a lot of the strengths of the movie also lies in those little quiet moments where they're just talking and the shark isn't there.
I love the quiet moments.
Yeah.
Jaws was the one that
my favorite parts of the movie.
The pool, when you go like that.
Yes.
That's Jaws.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, as you were saying, Miguel, like, my favorite parts of the movie, of course, I love the exciting parts, the murder and the killing, but I love the camaraderie between the three adventurers. Those are my favorite parts. I mean, like, when they're getting drunk and they're talking, when Hooper and Quint are comparing scars, those are my favorite moments. Like, it's just
who wrote it again? Who was it? Who was the script?
It was based off a book by Peter Benchley. And then when they sold it, and then he was actually hired to write a couple of drafts. I think he did 3 drafts. And then Spielberg got it, and then Spielberg said, "Okay, there are a couple of things here I want to change from the book." So he changed many parts of Act 1 and Act 2. In the book, I don't know if you guys know this. In the book, Brody's wife and Hooper actually have an affair. So Spielberg is like, that's
really?
Yeah, that's a bit too busy. So let's not have that. But much of I think what happens. So he hired several other writers. So I think the writer that got credited was a guy called Carl Gottlieb, who ended up really fleshing out the story. But this is funny too. Like, apparently, as they were filming, because the movie took 159 days to shoot, they were writing pages as the days wore on.
Oh,
so parang when I heard that, when I heard that, naisip, oh my God, so ganun din pala si Spielberg. It was almost kind of refreshing to know that, you know, oh wow, like films that are being made at that level still undergo that kind of, like, by the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
Oh shit, the shark's not working today. Let's just rewrite the scene to make it work. It was problem solving. There was a lot of problem solving going on. So so Jaws segued into becoming a very much studied film for, I think, a lot of film students, in terms of how it's crafted, how it's written, how it's shot. The cinematography, I think, of Jaws is something that's also incredible. If I don't know if you guys remember that there are a lot of really long takes, but what Spielberg is really good at is he he takes you from he makes you feel like you're watching like an assembly of cuts or like several shots when in fact the camera's just moving like from side to side, and you realize, holy crap, they're in a completely different side of the beach or the room.
Yeah.
And that's where you start to see that, oh man, this Spielberg guy, he's kind of like really sneaky good. You know, I think this was his third movie.
This was young indie Spielberg pa eh. Yung parang hindi pa siya
yeah.
chasing Oscars and shit.
This was after he did Duel, and he just done Sugarland Express. So he was still not known. He was still not the Spielberg we know. But you could already, and if you watch this movie, there's so many great angles and shots we're in.
Incredible.
And
like so innovative shots. Like some shots are so innovative. Like
There's a really good website. If you Google it, Jaws. The word Jaws, and then viewandreview.com. There was a guy who super loves Jaws, and he wrote a glowing essay, and he broke down over 100 shots from the film. And he posts. So the site is viewandreview.com, and he just posts all of these beautiful shots, and he kind of explains why Spielberg shot it this way, and it's incredible. Like it's just amazing. Like from when I started studying Jaws as a film student, it makes you realize just why it was so effective, why it was so scary.
Yeah.
And funny enough, it was scary. A lot of the main reason why it was scary is because the shark didn't work.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! I do know that. I do know that. Like a lot of people talk about. Oh my God! Jaws is so terrifying until and then you realize that the shark is only on screen for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But then like I did hear that was something that he had to fix. Because the sharks weren't working. So he was like, well, I can't show the sharks, so I'm just going to build up the tension.
Which made it all the more scarier.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like if the
first
shark
scene,
was shown,
right?
parang...
I mean, knowing what we know now, I had like can I ask you guys, if you saw the shark in the first scene when the girl gets eaten, and you see that's kind of like it. And for me, that's another type of horror that I love. I love less is more horror. Like for me, horror ceases to be less scary. Like when you see the monster already, or when you see the ghost or the creature.
I agree.
Like I love it when filmmakers try to bury their creatures or their monsters as much as they can, because I think the mind is so much more effective in kind of scaring you than seeing a full CG. And that's why I think all the shark movies ever since then have not surpassed the level of Jaws, because now you see a shark in a film, you know it's CG. Even just the way it moves, it doesn't have the weight, it doesn't have the physics. So why not just not show it the way they did in Jaws, right? So for me, that was the less is more approach definitely worked in the movie's favor.
So Carlo, you saw this when you were really young.
Yeah.
And then you saw it again recently, right?
Yes.
So what has changed from when you saw it as a fan and then suddenly seeing it again as a horror director? What has changed for you?
Okay. The one thing, I mean, obviously on a much smaller scale, having done a film and still having fresh memories of that and watching Jaws again. You guys know the third act of Jaws, right? Like when they're finally on the boat, they're out at sea. Good. And then all this, the shark hits the side of the boat and it starts to sink. And then as the boat sinks, the shark attacks. Watch that sequence again. Watch those last 20 minutes again, and you will realize how many angles Spielberg had in that film. And how small that boat was and how difficult it was to place. He would put a camera on top of the coast.
Oh, shit.
Yes, he would put a camera, like so many camera angles.
And at the time, the cameras were huge. Like you could do that now with tiny cameras, but like...
Yeah, you could do that with smaller cameras. So the sheer idea that he was able to do this in 1975 with those big film cameras in a saltwater environment, you know, with a sinking ship. It's incredible. The amount of coverage and the amount of detail that he put into each of the shots. So that was my main takeaway watching it as a horror director. Parang grabe ang angas ng coverage niya, lakas ng flex nito. It's like, he was like 27 years old. He was like, God damn it, I don't know if I'm going to get to do this again. I'm probably going to get fired because I'm like 100 days over. I'm just going to flex the shit out of this third act and just put as many camera angles. And it's incredible. He had so much coverage. And that third act where they finally battle the shark at sea is just incredible. That was the first time I saw blood, by the way, when the shark clamps down on and then blood gushes out of his mouth. That's kind of what kind of made me realize, oh my God, people die in movies.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
that was your horror origin.
That was my horror. That was it.
It was the blood coming out of Quint's mouth.
Coming out of Quint's mouth. I was like, was that? Oh my God, that was blood. And holy crap, he okay. And that was it. That was like, okay, people die in movies. Okay, I get it. All right, so that okay, I think this is for
Leads die in movies because he was a lead
yes,
character.
yes.
Yeah.
And
He was a
parang,
lead.
I
That's
don't know,
right.
yeah. Diba?
That's right.
That doesn't happen a lot. And
Yeah.
he's the knowledgeable lead pa. And then he was
Yes.
the one that died. So
Well, kumbaga, he was the Obi-Wan character, right? You could
Yeah,
say
yeah.
he was
That's
the
true.
mentor,
The mentor. Yeah.
mentor that the
Experienced
protagonist had to learn a bit of something from before the reins are handed over. Hero's journey stuff for Brody to take over and step up. So
I have a
galing,
question.
even the script is incredible.
yeah. I'm not a film student, and I like I mentioned earlier, I watch horror movies just for the fun of it.
Yeah,
Is that old crazy wise person a trope?
Yeah.
the
The
Baliw.
mentor is a trope. Yeah.
Okay. And
I
they're
mean,
crazy
like,
most of the time.
Think Mr.
Eccentric.
Miyagi.
eccentric, right?
Eccentric. That's a good word. Okay.
And a bit of a loner. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the role of the mentor is to drop bits of wisdom and life experience for the lead character to absorb, at which point when that's been done, that the mentor's purpose has been served. So they either go away or they die or they get eaten by a shark and blood comes out of his mouth, thus opening the door for the protagonist to I mean, but that's not just in movies though. I mean, you see that in stories like from before. So it's a trope, but when done well, in this case, especially, like, I mean, he was such a great character. I mean, he's still, I think he's easily on people's top movie supporting character lists.
Quint is my favorite character in the movie, easily. Like,
Yeah.
well, number one, he is basically, from the Tintin comics, or if you're French, the Tonton comics, he's Captain Haddock.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
he's the drunk sailor, grizzled sailor who has seen shit. You know what I mean? And but for me, he's easily my favorite character because, well, number one, Robert Shaw, the actor, is incredible. That monologue he does when about the Indianapolis.
Yes.
It is incredible. It is so riveting. Just I could watch hours of him talking about that particular event, right? Like,
Yeah.
and then he basically turns into Captain Ahab towards the end.
Yeah.
Like, you don't realize it at the beginning, but towards the end, he's just like so obsessed, and he's just like, I'm gonna break this boat just to get the shark. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's such a fascinating character, and he was so good in it. Like, he's so, like, I don't know, like, what I love about Jaws is not just how, I mean, the storytelling is incredible. The script is so fun. But for me, it's really the third act for me that's really the closest to my heart. Is really seeing the three of them on that boat bonding right before killing the shark. These three really, really weird, so different characters. Like, they're so different from each other, and they're so well fleshed out. By the way, like each character is so well fleshed out. Like, Brody is this guy who isn't into the outdoors. I mean, like, up to the last scene, he's got sunscreen on his nose. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's
like,
all those little details. Yeah.
So well done.
Yeah.
And then just seeing the three of them interact, it's my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you notice that, Chris? Like, when they're on the boat, Brody is always in a color that does not, like, his shirt. He's always like in a shirt that doesn't match the colors of what Hooper and Quint are wearing. Later on in the film, as they when they start make contact with Jaws, Brody's the only one in black, whereas Quint and Hooper are in like navy light blue shirts to kind of really distance them.
Yeah.
He's putting his revolver holster on his belt like a cop. I mean, he's all these city slicker moves, and it's all those details, like you said, attention to character that makes that movie so. Wow, I said cop and cops. It's all of that. It's all those incredible details, and the set, the design, the color. No one is in red because I think the filmmaker
for the blood.
The only red we're gonna see is when there's blood in the water.
Yeah. What I found really scary about this is the first few things that are killed are a woman, a dog, and a child. I was like, why did you do that? But yeah, they killed a woman, a child, and a dog.
And a little
Like
boy. And oh my God,
Diba?
yes.
Yeah.
That scene is super talked about a lot. In fact, there's a good YouTube video essay on that scene. I don't know if you guys remember that particular scene. It happens in the 14th, 15th minute of the movie. Actually, if you watch the movie again, mabilis yung pace. The pace moves along at
It's so fast. Yeah.
It's a fast. That's what I remember when I watch it again. It's like, oh wow, they go from predicament to predicament pretty fast. So the preamble there was, so Brody sees the first girl dead, right? She washes up on the beach. So now he tries to close down the beaches, but the mayor, the government, let's not go there. The government basically tells the government tells him, no, you can't shut down because we need the income from the beaches. So he agrees, right? Yeah. So that sets up the table for the scene that follows in the 14th minute when he's now on the beach. He's sitting down on the beach chair. He's in a black shirt. He's the only one in a black shirt. Everyone is either shirtless or in swimsuit. So he sticks out like a sore thumb. So again, emphasizing the fact that he's a city slicker. And all these angles start cutting. Like you said, Aaron, they establish a dog who jumps into the water. There was a large overweight lady who also goes in. So he starts planting all these, and then you see the little boy, and you're like, so now you're not just stressed out once, but you're like stressed out 3 times because you're like, oh my God,
which one's gonna die?
Which one's gonna die? You know? And, oh my God, and then and you're right. Actually, that's a good. I didn't remember that, but yes, the dog
was dead first.
The dog vanishes, right?
Yeah,
he vanishes.
But then you see that it's, oh my God, it's the little boy that kind of gets it. And again, watching it as a dad, that I think that was the scene that
that's the one.
The most.
That's the one that got me.
That was the one that really got me at this particular moment of my life. It's like, oh wow, you know. And then there's spouts of blood. Everyone's running back to the beach, and then as everyone's lining up and everyone's holding on to their kids, you see the mom, and she's like, Alex.
Yeah.
Oh my God. A parent's worst nightmare, and for me, that was just horrifying, you know. And that scene,
and I'm sure you felt for the mom when she started getting mad at him, diba?
She goes up and she slaps him and she says, "You knew."
Yeah.
There's a girl on the beach and you knew. And then the mayor was right beside Brody, and wala laglagan. The mayor didn't do anything, and he says, you know, so and Brody being such an awesome, likable guy, didn't pass the blame to the mayor. He kind of just accepted him. So that scene was, oh my God.
You know what's funny though? In Jaws 2, it's still the same mayor. So they fucking elected him again.
Re-elected him,
yeah.
He's such a good actor though, that guy.
Wait, he's very good. What is the storyline of 2? Is it the son of Jaws? What happens there?
I think it's a random shark. I honestly, it's been so long since I've seen it.
It's not the revenge story. Revenge story from the point of view of the shark. Yung anak na. I should watch
the original. The kids are slightly bigger, and then they go on a boat ride, and Brody and his wife have to chase after them again because the shark's going after the boat where his kids are. And I think the way they killed this one was they electrocuted him.
Him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
See, so harsh.
I know, right? Yeah.
Poor sharks. Yeah.
He just wanted to make friends and ride alongside them like a dolphin. But no, they electrocuted him.
The taste trends.
Speaking of father-son moment, one of my favorite scenes, I don't know if you guys remember this, was when right after that scene, when the widow, when the mom who lost her son slaps him, we now see Brody having a drink at home and just kind of like leaning. Yeah.
Another great
and across the table, the son just starts following his every move and starts doing this. And I've actually done that in real life with my kids, and they actually do it. Apparently, it was an improv moment during rehearsals. Like apparently, they just started doing it in rehearsals. See, this is why rehearsals are important. They started doing it in rehearsals, and Spielberg loved it so much that he put it in the movie. And that kid is so cute. So that and again, that's what makes Jaws stand out for me as well. You really care for the characters.
Yeah. In fact, parang si J.J. Abrams, who I liked in the beginning. Parang he references that scene all the time. Like, parang idol ni J.J. Abrams, si Spielberg. And what turned him on to Spielberg was that actual quiet scene in Jaws with the father and son moment. Yeah.
Oh, really? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
All right.
Okay, Miguel, as our token scaredy cat.
Yeah.
How was this movie for you when you saw it the first time? Were you ever scared? And when you saw it recently, how do you take it?
So,
on a 1 to 5, rate the scaredy level.
Parang, I think it's great in the sense na, tama si Carla na, there's one of those few things, well, in the beginning, this is how you did a horror film, that you never show the monster until the end. And that works really well with me. That scares the shit out of me. And then I think when I saw Jaws as a kid, I was like, oh shit, pwede pala ako matakot kahit daytime to. Even if all the scenes you were in during the day and in the presence of so many people, like, oh, I'm still scared. Like, so yeah, parang as a kid, that's what affects you the most. All the scare tactics that really work really well. But as I got older nga, and I was on my second or third viewing na, parang you kind of appreciated the craft or the storytelling and the characters and all these little, oh, galing ni Spielberg mag-quiet moment. Parang hindi siya blockbuster guy lang na action set pieces. Like parang really quiet mise-en-scène scenes here. Parang very happy.
Yeah, like for me, like this is okay. My Jaws story is really like this is the movie that got me into Spielberg easily. It was this, and then like I was blown away by Jaws. I saw it when I was really young too. Like Carlo, I wasn't 6, but I was pretty young too, and it was partly traumatic, but it was partly like holy shit, like this is freaking awesome. You know what I mean? And then it really also changed my view on my views on how movies were. Like they're not at that point. I think I was watching a lot of younger movies, and then I saw Jaws, and it was like fucking incredible. And that's when I was like, oh, who made it? Who did this? And blah blah blah. Blah. And then like it was really for me as a young kid. It was really this, and then seeing a decade later seeing Jurassic Park, and I was like, wow, Spielberg is fucking incredible because like he can seamlessly switch from horror to adventure to drama, and then like nothing's jarring in each like shift, because like Jaws isn't really purely horror, it's not purely drama, it's not purely adventure, but it's all of those things, and it's just so seamless. Like honestly, like Jaws is actually so funny if you think about it.
It is also funny.
So many funny moments, and they're not forced. They're not anything. It's just so seamless. So like it's like I threw around the word masterpiece so many times as a horror fan, because as a horror fan, you fall in love with so many things so quickly. But this is a true fucking masterpiece. It's incredible. It's an incredible film. I love it.
And actually, Carlo mentioned earlier what you like about horror is that it sticks with you. So let's talk a little bit about the aftermath of Jaws, because I've heard a lot of stories that after Jaws came out, people actually did get scared to go to the beaches and to swim and things like that. So what else happened in that? Yeah, go ahead, Miguel.
I was going to bring that up. Like until now, as an adult, I still have this irrational fear of deep, murky water. But I googled it. There's a word for it. It's a Reddit also. Thalassophobia. And that's what it is, dude. Like even swimming in a pool, as long as I can see the bottom, there's a part of my brain that feels parang nandiyan si Diyos akit. Until now, it still has that traumatized for ako by Jaws. In a great way.
Scaredy cat ka talaga, swimming pool? What?
In daytime, swimming pool, basta hindi ko makita ilalim, puta may buhaya dito or may shark dito. So lame. I'm so lame. Anyway.
But did you guys hear about any stories like that? Like afterwards?
Well, the one thing it did was, and it was that very same reason that my dad showed me the film, was that apparently there was a backlash, but on sharks. Like it gave sharks such a villainous rap that people started going out and fishing for them and just killing them. So it got to the stage where but I read this interview that Peter Benchley, the author, said Jaws actually got a lot of letters from people saying thanks to Jaws, I now want to get into marine biology. because
great.
the movie scared me at first, but now I am so fascinated by sharks that I want to study them and I want to know about the world they live in, and I want to know about marine conservation and all that. And in many ways, that movie had that same effect on me as well. I was able to take the environmental message that my dad, shared with me with watching Jaws. But rather, it scares me. It scares me to this day. I mean, I love going out in the water. I love snorkeling. And yes, there are times when I'm kind of just floating with my fins, and when I don't see what at the bottom, I do get a bit of chills. But Jaws made me love sharks. Am I weird?
No, not at all.
Aaron, you know Chell, right? Long Talk. She runs a travel agency. So I booked a trip to Africa like a couple of years ago through her agency. And one of the things that I was supposed to do was dive with sharks, and that was number one on my bucket list. And I was supposed to do it, but when the day came for us to do it, the shark guy radioed, called Chal, and said, "Sorry, we haven't seen any sharks for the last couple of weeks, so better not come." And I was I was gonna do it. I was gonna get into the cage, Hoopers, like in the cage, and they were gonna chum the water with blood and get sharks. And I was like,
shit.
I was so excited. This was in South Africa, and I was so excited, and I was heartbroken when I was told that there were no sharks. And then when I asked why, the guy said, "Well, I think it's because there's shark population is dwindling, and we're not seeing as many of them anymore." So
that's horrible.
But I will. That's still on my bucket list. I will do that one day. I will dive with sharks. And I
have a weird question. The size of Jaws in the movie, is that an exaggerated size of the great white shark, or is that how big they really get?
It's not as exaggerated as like the movie Meg or
or whatever, but it's still terrifying.
Yeah. I think from what I know, the major perspective pa rin siya, but slightly, of course, exaggerated for. I think
there's some scenes where it's just too big.
Yeah. What they did was, I mean, fair enough. You want to take a bit of creative license as a filmmaker, and you want to make it look as scary as possible. Like if it was like a cute 8-foot shark, it wouldn't be as as effective. But do you remember that we see the top shot when it swims beside the boat, and then you realize it's the size of the boat,
the scale,
and Brody says that classic line, "We're gonna need a bigger boat," and you realize, oh my god, they're not safe in this boat. Like
which apparently was a
ad-lib, no?
Script. It was an ad-lib,
Parang inside joke ng production whenever they run out of money or something. We need a bigger something. We need a bigger boat.
No, yung nickname daw, the crew started calling the movie Floss instead of Jaws after a while.
That's great.
Because there were so many
oh shit.
That's good.
So many errors, and then so many mistakes. So again, as a filmmaker, it's in a way it's nice to read up on the horror stories of them making that movie, and it's kind of encouraging. Na parang okay, sige, sila din. Okay, si Spielberg din pala. So it's okay.
How has your viewpoint changed? I mean, you were a film student and everything, but when you became a film director, how do you view movies now? Like, are you just stuck? Like, I don't know how to like express it. Like, because for me, watching movies before I became a film student was so different. I was just like,
I know exactly what
awesome, you know? And then suddenly I become a film student. I'm like, oh shit, that light was right there. And then what I mean? And then like. So how has it changed? Like, not just as a horror film, but like, how do you view movies in general now? Like, does it take away from the overall experience, knowing how stuff is made?
Honestly, I would be lying if I said it didn't. I really think it does. You know, like when you're a film student, when a director's flexing, a particular angle or a particular shot. Parang, techno-crane. And it's so annoying because you just know these things already. And for me, that becomes the challenge, is looking for material that's so good that. And I have a director friend who we talk about this, and the best compliment that he says he could give a director is when he watches a film that doesn't feel like it's directed.
Yeah,
is when he goes, hindi mo maramdaman yung direction, and for him, that would be the biggest compliment he could give a director, because he doesn't feel like the director is flexing or being flashy with angles and shots, but he serves the story. And when you and when us or filmmakers, whatever, can appreciate a film without us judging the lighting or the angle or being distracted by it, then that's when you know, oh my God, this film's good. When you from that,
You
and
forget.
you know what? That's my gauge now. When I watch a movie, and when I get scared, happy, kilig, and before I know it, the movie's done. That's when I know, oh my God, I was in there. I was emotionally transported without being distracted by my pretentious filmmaking bias or whatever. What the
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean, right? Like to just enjoy it as a fan, and that's why now,
Absolutely.
and that's why I think the movies.
Look at Aaron. She's in the
Aaron.
perfect state.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes, you know what? Sometimes that's the best. You know, like you just. Why is it scary? Bakit? Bakit nakakatakot? Wala, nakakatakot lang. Like you don't have to, right? You don't have to analyze the sequence of shots that led up to why it was scary. I mean, there's fun in that, but sometimes it's good to just appreciate a movie as a fan. So I try to make my first viewing of any movie that I try to put my fan hat on and be like, sige, I'm not gonna try to think like a director here, you know, because I would love for people to watch my films that way too. Parang don't judge it as a filmmaker. Just watch it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure any director would feel that way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my stepdad's a DOP, and I hate watching movies with him. I hate it. He and my mom just like, this should have been.
Carlo, ask who her stepdad is.
Who's your stepdad?
Napamir.
Oh yeah, there you go. So is he like that?
Yeah, and dal in the cinema with my mom. This could have been like this. And I'm marrying also a guy who's into film. So same thing.
And then you're friends with podcasters who think about film all the time. Wala na.
This is why I bring the fan mindset into this.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think directors do enter a film or start doing films with the idea that, I need to apply this technique or whatever. But really, like if you can just have that genuine reaction from just a fan, I think that's so much better without having to explain why. And then I think my director friend nailed it on the head. The best compliment you can give a director is when you watch a film that doesn't feel directed.
Yeah.
Diba?
I agree. Like so many good films nowadays, parang yung mga chasing Oscars nga, parang man, this is a flex lang talaga. This is like parang I get it that this director is at a point in his career na he's good enough to flex, but I miss this director in his early career when he was just wanting to make movies.
Yes, yeah. And like going back to Jaws, the sheer fact that Spielberg was able to flex unintentionally or not. He was still able to put all these incredible shots despite the shark not working, despite the boat sinking, despite all of that. For me, it just really shows, the talent behind it. He was able to still put all these amazing shots into such a troubled production. So for me, that's always an inspiration.
And I think in that time, that flex was not really a flex.
No.
It was new. It was diba? Innovation. Eh. So now it's almost like now the new flex is not flexing.
Yeah, exactly. Disappearing from this movie and just letting the movie tell its story. Parang yun yata yung best flex eh.
Yeah, and then I think that's right. And I think that's something I would like to do. It's just like it really should be about the script and the story and how do we, and not thinking about camera angles first, but more of like, okay, what's the purpose of the story here? And that's why Jaws is so good, because it's infused with such a great story and characters that by the time they're out on the boat, you don't want any of them to die. And of course the most favorite guy dies, diba?
Yeah.
So that's what makes it work.
But it's interesting that you guys are talking about how like good filmmaking is all about being invisible, to like letting the story flow.
Yeah.
And
Miguel
said earlier that like now flexing. Who said that? Flexing is not like now flexing is not flexing.
Carlos. Carlos said that.
Yeah. And it's that's interesting because that's like I'm an editor. I'm a video editor, like a film editor. And the criteria for how good an editor is his or her ability. Usually it's his or her ability to disappear, to be invisible.
Galing din,
So now there's this movement towards that more sensitive kind of storytelling instead of flashy bravado, flashy effects and graphics and gimmicks.
But it's still beautiful when they do that and it works pa rin. Like Mad Max
Yeah.
Fury Road.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
it's a total
Yeah,
flex.
like
Mad,
it's a very delicate balance. Like,
oh, hirap eh.
yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, Miguel.
For me, it's
Basically,
like,
Miguel, if you're a filmmaker, if you're gonna flex like Mad Max. That's how.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Parang-
Yeah.
Just go all
When that-
out. You know what I mean?
And that dude was 70 na. Like when he was in his 70s, the cinematographer was also retired. Two old dudes in the desert making a movie like Mad Max. Sobrang galing. Yeah. And the wife was the editor pa.
Oh my god, that movie is incredible.
Funny story about Mad Max though. There are like 20 cameras at any given time on that set.
Yeah.
And there was no final
Imagine the
plan.
amount of footage.
Walang paper
Yeah.
edit. So it really, that enlarged part, that movie is
It's
the
edited,
wife's.
dude. Galing, yeah. Who was
Like
a
Star
who was
Wars.
a who was a documentary editor, diba? Maui,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
wife
yeah.
of.
Yep.
So she brought her sensibility of just like disappearing from the, initial flex.
Sobrang hindi.
Sobrang galing.
Yep.
So
Anyway, sorry,
going
we
back
digress.
to Jaws earlier, Carlo, you did talk about the difficulties of filming over water. I've got a great story.
Oh, nice. Go.
So the movie Waterworld.
Oh yeah, we heard. Yes.
Sorry.
Waterworld was, I mean, actually, it actually made money eventually, but it was a massive flop right before worldwide box office came in and everything. And it was massively over budget. I mean, like they spent way too much for the film. But the funny thing is, Kevin Costner talked to Steven Spielberg about filming the movie, and Spielberg said, "Do not film it on open water. Like, make a tank." Make a gigantic tank. Don't film it on open water because you're going to be fucked. And they didn't listen to Spielberg. And that's what happened to Waterworld. And there you go.
I don't know.
I kind of enjoyed Waterworld.
Oh, no, dude. I really enjoyed Waterworld.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just talking about like the budget constraints and everything and how much money they lost.
Was
But
it
actually,
Costner
I really
who
enjoyed it.
directed?
Eventually. Like, he replaced the director, yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. What do you think is the movie that comes close to Jaws, if not surpasses it in terms of?
Oh, man.
I mean, we've had many
Monster movie?
Yeah, I mean, creature features, so to speak. Like, what do you think is its peer?
I think
shit, Chris.
I think it's not my peer. It's not its peer, but I think the movie that I enjoyed the most since Jaws, that is a monster movie, might be The Host, the Korean film. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Or Tremors. Just kidding. I don't know.
I love Tremors.
Tremors is awesome. Tremors is one of those films like really influenced by Jaws.
Super, yeah.
Like it takes the same
Jaws
beats
in geology.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of monster films, so I don't really.
May butas din ako dyan. I don't know what else is.
How about you, Carlo?
Anaconda, ganon.
Yeah, Anaconda is one of them. Yeah.
Hey!
Hey.
Carlo, what's your answer?
Go.
Well, for me, like if I have a list, like Jaws would be my 1, and then I would probably have a 2A, 2B, 2C, and it would be Aliens.
Oh my God, of course it's Alien. Sorry, that should have been my answer. I apologize.
I have Aliens, which I loved as a teenager, and The Thing, which again, 3 movies that were kind of.
You consider that the you're right. I guess
I consider it a creature feature. I mean,
a
they're
monster.
all kind of.
Okay, you're right.
They're all alien. They're all I don't know. There was just a certain style to how films from that era were made. Like Maui was talking about, like a sparseness of editing, just a simplicity to it. Like it's not overcut. There's just. But at the same time, if you watch those movies again, they're all so masterful in their own way. But Jaws remains, I think, my benchmark, obviously. But I think those 3.
Now that embarrasses me because
the host is incredible. I love the host.
Oh, the host is great. The host is great. But for me, honestly, The Thing is my favorite horror movie of all time. That's why I asked Carlo what you consider that a monster movie, and it is a monster movie. It really is.
I haven't seen this.
But I really consider it like really, really close to, like, for me, like The Thing and Alien, as in Ridley Scott Alien, are brothers from the same mother. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like The Thing is really my favorite horror movie. Like, and then So yeah, so yeah, you have me revising my list again, Carlo.
Live. Just kidding. Yung Jurassic Park, would that be a monster movie?
It becomes a monster movie.
It becomes a monster movie. And it also has those little...
a really good monster movie.
And it has
Hey,
those...
why not? Why not?
Yeah.
You're right.
I would parang like the T-Rex scene where it's just you hear the glass, you hear the thumping first, and then the glass vibrates. Yeah.
Yes.
Galing ni Aaron. Kuha ni Aaron yung
Exactly.
dinosaur impersonation.
You really look like the T-Rex.
Again, another perfect example of how Spielberg gets all these different genres. Like you go in thinking you're gonna watch a family, movie. Oh my God, spectacle of dinosaurs, and then the power goes out, and then like what Aaron just did, the T-Rex's eye magnifies.
Yeah.
That scene of the T-Rex pushing their car around.
Yeah.
Is just again that I would say that's one of the best monster movie scenes of all time.
Yeah, agree.
For sure. So Jurassic Park, absolutely.
Galing nga ng Jurassic Park kasi there's the terror of the thing, the huge thing that you can hardly see. And then later on, when they become human-sized velociraptors, it's still fucking scary. Parang galing talaga. It's amazing.
He takes you from a big scary
Scale,
picture to
yeah.
several small, parang ibang level of terror naman. Nasa hallways naman, it becomes like a cat and mouse game, diba?
Wow, this guy's really good. The Spielberg guy. He's pretty good.
Parang he's okay. Parang
He has a
My future tong Spielberg na to. And then, sorry, back to Spielberg. Parang galing din like how he embraced. Sorry, it became a Spielberg love fest. But like even when he embraces a genre like Indiana Jones, like the purely adventure genre, parang throwback pa yung era, like a 1920s pulp fiction thing or book. Parang galing talaga ni Spielberg. Like whatever he gets into, he'll do it really well. That guy, what a nit. So good. Stating the obvious, Spielberg, very good director.
Was there ever? I know we're different batches of like films.
Spielberg.
But was there ever a time when it was like quote unquote cool to hate on Spielberg because he was like the popular choice?
Yes. Oh yeah. I remember that era.
Was that Schindler's List era? Was that Schindler's List era?
No. It was after Schindler's List. I think it was Amistad.
Amistad.
Mainstream. Oh.
Yeah.
What, did you guys ever feel that? Because
I never did.
No, like I did that because I'm old din naman and I saw Spielberg early, like Hook and but there was a time na Spielberg, you felt he was chasing Oscars with all his historical biopics or something.
Right.
But I have a theory about artists. Like first of all, they start out really hungry and really good, and then they hit the mainstream and they kind of get diluted a little, and then later on when they're a bit older, they kind of hit their stride and kind of be able to balance everything out. And now Spielberg's great again. Munich, A Bridge of Spies, I love. Even Captain Phillips. Wait, are there still Spielberg films? Diba? Spielberg Latin, diba? Captain Phillips? Nope.
Not Captain Phillips. He's doing West Side Story. He's doing West Side Story next. Or that's
I think he's in trouble with West Side Story because his lead star just got in that huge controversy. But anyway.
Sino ba artista niya?
Let
me Google that.
See, Ansel Elgort.
No.
I don't know this.
Yeah, I think that movie's in trouble, honestly.
Okay. I'm surprised you guys don't remember. AI was not loved by people. I loved it.
I
loved it. I thought it was way too long, but I loved it. But then it was Spielberg channeling what's his name? Kubrick. So
because it was started by Kubrick, diba? Tapos,
When Haley Joel Osment was still cute.
Wow.
Oh, you're so cool.
Have you seen him now?
Why?
Yes, I have.
Is he as cute as AI?
No, not at all. Not even close. But
it should have ended when he found that girl in the water na AI.
Yeah.
Parang, but it's cool.
But it's cool.
Anyway, but it's cool. Anyway, guys, any final thoughts on Jaws? Everyone.
Okay.
So, Jaws. I remember loving it. I remember it giving me a trauma that I still carry on until today. And that's a Spielberg I'll keep on watching. It's probably my top 5
Yeah.
Spielbergs, if not my top 2 Spielbergs.
What I like about it was the soundtrack. Really, it sticks to you. You know it. You use it to scare other people. You just go up to them, dun 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 dun. So even in just that regard, it's very memorable for me. So I like that.
What I liked about it, I mean, like, it's really an incredible movie. It's a masterpiece. Again, I say that all the time, and I apologize for it, but
It's all right.
this time I really mean it. It is a freaking masterpiece. It has so much for me. Like, I find romance in the adventure part of it. In like the 3 guys setting out on the open sea and trying to conquer the unconquerable. That's my favorite like theme of the movie. I love it so much. I loved it when I was a kid. I loved it when I rewatched it today for this episode. And as Carlo said, I can't wait to make my son watch it. And that's it. Carlo.
You know what, Chris? Because of that, I might show my son Jaws tomorrow.
Yay!
Maybe. Naka-lockdown naman tayo. So, pwede. My takeaways. I'll forever be grateful to Jaws for several things. One is that it made me appreciate sharks in a reverse psychology kind of way. Thanks to my dad, he triggered an ongoing fascination and love for just the sea and the ocean and just wanting to protect them. It triggered my love for Spielberg, who in turn kind of opened me up to all these other great directors who we all know and love. And finally, thanks to Jaws and that era, it triggered my love for film and filmmaking and for watching movies. And as a fan, so thank you. Actually, guys, I gotta thank you for inviting me to do this because I kind of was able to watch it as a fan again, a few days ago.
That's
nice.
And not have to wear my OA pretentious analytical whatever. I was actually, and I was so happy to be able to just enjoy it as a fan and watching it as that made me realize that it's such a great film. So I hope that people who haven't seen this movie do get to see it because it's a masterclass. It's not just a masterpiece, as what Chris said. It's a masterclass. So So it's definitely a must see, and it's in my top 5 of all time.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Thank you so much, Carla. This was a very educational discussion for myself. So I really enjoyed it. Thank you. And I haven't seen that movie in a really long time. So it made me see it.
Watch it again, yeah.
And now I want to have kids also. I don't know pala magka-kids.
Tara, let's buy, Miguel. Where can we get? Shopee?
If you can't have a shark, at least have a kid.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yun yung takeaway ko. Parang okay pala magkaanak so that I can share Jaws. And then...
Actually, Miguel, not just Jaws. Like, seriously, I've been loving...
Yeah.
I can't wait to show my kid Back to the Future because that's like my go-to.
There you go.
My go-to.
There you go.
And then pag medyo teenager na...
I just don't think they'll get the mother thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm waiting... Because I still remember that I was 10 when I saw Back to the Future, so maybe 10,
that thing went over our heads. That thing went over our head.
So I'll wait because for me that's the good. But I showed them Goonies. I showed them, so I might show them Jaws this weekend.
And then later on, when your kid's a bit of an adult na, show them Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
They have seen Indiana Jones. They've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. They loved it.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Not Temple of Doom. Temple of Doom is a bit bleak and
medyo dark yun, di ba?
And
gruesome, actually.
Gruesome.
The heart.
But I remember it was the first Indiana Jones I saw, like a Temple of Doom. Like, and then like, is this how it all is? Like, and then
perfect because it's actually
a prequel origin story.
Yeah, it is. So I saw it in a chronological way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a prequel. Yeah, perfect. Just to wrap up, Carlo, what's in store for the future? Do we see more horror films from you? Please say yes. Please say yes.
I was slated to work on something this year, but unfortunately, as we all know, the pandemic happened, so we're all kind of blocked, which sucks. But just trying to take the silver lining out of it. So just developing the script. It's about one of my favorite genres, which is zombies. So
shit!
It's based on a script I wrote many years ago when I was still living in Australia, and with another team, with another writer, we're adapting it for the Philippines. So fingers crossed, someone invent a vaccine so we can shoot it.
That's awesome. And
Because
you better invite us to the set.
zombies are my favorite horror subgenre, and I can do a whole podcast on zombies.
Can we extra a zombies?
You know that three of us would make awesome zombies.
I want that on my
Aaron
resume.
is officially in because I've seen her acting. Oh, there you go.
Pucha naman si Aaron lang. Dalawa. Sige.
So yes, I will be needing some zombies.
Exciting.
In the future. Yeah. So sana matuloy, but not just my film, but man, I can't wait to make movies, and I can't wait to watch movies in a cinema again. And I'm sure
I
you guys
miss the cinema a lot. Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Do you think it would be? Would you be willing to watch a movie in a cinema anytime soon? No, like this
pre-vaccine. Parang pre-vaccine, no.
Parang
But Pampanga has the drive-through one.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I would
super tempting.
do the drive-through.
Yeah, that's very tempting.
Yeah. So
You know what's so sad?
Yeah.
You know what's so sad? Like I live right across Ayala the 30th, and then I go there a lot for all my groceries and anything else I need. I always walk up to the third floor just to look at the darkened cinema lobby, and I just feel so sad.
Yeah.
I'm like, when am I gonna sit in the seat, have my popcorn, like
Waiting in the
sneak
dark
in
for
a
a movie
beer?
to start. I know.
It's not gonna
It's
be
different. It's not it's different. Nothing beats witnessing a film like on a big screen. So I hope we're there soon. So
Ako pa, I'm a big fan of trailers before the movie.
yes.
Yeah.
I miss that.
Do you know that my wife and I, we have this formula, like when you watch a movie, we want to catch the trailers, but we don't want to catch the empty RCB. So there's a sweet spot. You want to arrive at the movie early enough to catch the trailers, but not early enough that you get all those local government.
Yeah.
The one with
Game
the
of
balloon
chicken, eh.
and,
Or even the ads. Like you remember,
Or
that
even the
ad
ads,
where
yeah.
walk, don't run, and it's this
Ayala.
model.
Yes, yeah.
Ayala Glory. Ayala Cinemas. Yeah.
So you want the trailers, but I mean, you already know that camcording is bad.
I know where the fire exits are. Yeah.
So there was a time our Suke cinema we had it to about 8 minutes before screening. 8 minutes, let's go. We would get it just before the trailer. So I miss that. I miss being able to go into a cinema and watch. So I hope this all changes soon and we can all see that again.
That is the hope.
Same.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
Thank you so much, Carlo. It's been amazing to have you on the show. And I learned a lot from you, not only about Jaws, but I mean, as somebody who doesn't study film and things like that, it is very enlightening to talk to you about this. So thank you so much. And thanks to all the listeners for staying with us in this episode. I hope you stay tuned for our next one.
Be safe, guys.
Be safe.
Be safe.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Carlo. That was great.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Brought to you by Big Baby Studio.